Now, I don't know how many of you enjoy cooking, but I have a little quiz for you. I'll name 5 food items and I want you to try and figure out the one common ingredient. A margarita pizza, a bowl of tom yum soup, sushi, chocolate mousse and lemon soda. What is the common ingredient? Salt. It is used to prepare all of these food items. In fact, most food items on this planet have salt. And FYI, desserts have salt too. You can say salt is a universal ingredient. Without it, our food is tasteless. Now, what if I told you that salt is also deadly? It can kill you. A very interesting study has been published. It says those who add more salt to their food at the table are more likely to die prematurely. If that includes you, you're not alone. If that's any comfort, most of us are guilty of this habit. We reach out for the salt shaker almost every time food is brought to our table. It's like a reflex action, a habit we have inculcated over generations. So when this habit is branded deadly, it calls for some serious discussion. Let's begin with the obvious question. Why is sprinkling more salt to our food deadly? The UK Biobank project says its researchers studied more than 500,000 people, 5 lakh people. They asked a very simple question. How often do you add extra salt to your food? Rarely, occasionally, generally, or always? Now, those who said always had shorter life expectancy than those who said never or rarely. How short are we talking about? 1.5 years for women and 2.28 years for men. What explains this? How is salt linked to premature death? By this mineral, sodium. Salt is made of 2 chemicals, sodium and chlorine. The chemical formula for salt, if you remember, is sodium chloride, NaCl, high school chemistry. Now, most table and sea salt contains around 40% sodium, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sodium is needed for the functioning of our body, for conducting nerve impulses, for contracting and relaxing muscles, even for maintaining a proper balance of water and minerals in our body. You need sodium. The problem begins when you consume too much of it. So how much is too much? Well, most of us would fail this test because for us, the saltier the fries, the tastier. The American Heart Association says that an adult should not consume more than 2.3 grams of sodium per day. 2.3 grams of sodium. That's around 5.75 grams of salt. You could say it's about a teaspoon. A teaspoon of salt is what you can have in a day. Any idea how much salt we consume? Indians consume 11 grams of salt per day, which is way above the daily limit. Most of the total salt intake comes from the added salt. A study conducted in 2019 found that more than 80% of salt in the daily diet of Indians comes from added salt. The other main food sources of salt were meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products. Now, what's happening in India is very unique. Not everywhere is added salt the villain. Take the United States, for example. There, the problem is fast food. 70% of the salt in the diet in the US comes from commercially prepared food, not table salt. In fact, American authorities have even put out a list of top 10 sodium sources. It includes breads, pizza, sandwiches, cold cuts, meats, soups, burritos, tacos, savory snacks like chips, popcorn, crackers, chicken, cheese, eggs, all sorts of things, but not table salt. So the results of this study, which actually involved some 500,000 middle-aged Britons, is extremely relevant to India because it's in India that table salt is sacrosanct. Most of us reach for it even before we've tasted the food. Adding the extra salt precedes food tasting, and now we know that this habit is deadly. So go easy on the salt. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.